Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you're watching the GSL Talk Show. Tonight, we're going to be chatting with Miss Ashley Irvin. She's an amazing author and much, much more. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the GSL Talk Show. I'm here with Miss Ashley Irvin. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Well, we're glad to have you here on the GSL Talk Show. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. So, tell me where you're from, and then a little bit about yourself.
So I'm from Texas. I
Mhm.
come from a military family, so I did a lot of
Mhm.
traveling as a young child. But now I'm in here in Texas, living with my family. And sorry, and I am currently a children's book author. So I've always had a passion for writing. I've always wrote poems. I wrote stories, and at one point I wanted to write gospel songs, but
Mhm.
I didn't really like my voice, so I was like, let's skip that. so, but I've always had a passion for writing, and I've never really considered that as to be a career of mine. So my
Mhm.
parents always told me, get your education, go to college, get a good job. So I pursued a business career.
Mhm.
And so with my bachelor's degree, it was a catch 22. It's like they don't want you because you don't have experience. We can't get a job, can't get experience without getting a job. So it's kind of like it's difficult. So I ended up in the healthcare industry. And
Mhm.
so I've been doing that for the past like 7 years now. And so I'm like,
Mhm.
well, I want to be my own boss. I still have the dream of being, an entrepreneur. So like, well, let me, figure out what can I do to make money for myself. They're like, well, my passion is writing. So what better way is to write children's book and then, have a passive income and do what I love, to share stories worldwide. So here I am
Mhm.
today.
Girl, well, first of all, let me go ahead and commend you for stepping out on faith, right? And doing what you felt you needed to do to get closer to your dream, as they would say. I think with me and you see eye to eye in a lot of ways. 'Cause I definitely have a heart and love, talking to fellow entrepreneurs, people that get it. Because I feel like every now and then, I'm talking to individuals where I'm like, I'm really trying to push them, to help them get to the next level, like to the things that they
Mhm.
say they want. But I get I thought it was something that everybody kind of had and just needed like motivation, but I'm learning that the entrepreneurial mind is it's like its own thing. Like and people I think with the same mindset, we're getting it on a different level. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
with everything you just said, it really just resonated because I'm right there with you with again, people try to tell you the path you should take. And I know that people mean well. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I'm not saying anything against, people that are like go to college and, on all those things. But at the same time, it's like I think with all of us being so unique, right?
Right.
And things like that, like what would the world look like if we really truly like did what God created us to do
Mhm.
versus going down a certain path because someone else thinks that that's the way that we should go, like
Right.
versus, you know what I mean? Like, because if God had put it in you to be a writer and things of that nature, like what if you was writing this whole time? Like, what if you did continue to write your gospel songs regardless
Mhm.
of your voice and all those different type of things? Because the writers don't have to sing the song. You know what I mean? You can get somebody else to sing. They can buy your song to sing.
Right.
Things like that. And so, and I'm a fellow songwriter as well. So I mean, if I can push and motivate you, what I'm saying, because we look anything kingdom creation. I'm definitely, you know what I'm saying. trying to get champion behind. Because I mean, not to be like there's not any gospel songs out or something, but your unique perspective and voice is yours. You know what I mean? Nobody else is going to be able to write your gospel song. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
just answers, you know what I'm saying? but but no, like I said, I just really could resonate with all everything you pretty much shared. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with again pursuing, things that's gonna, I guess sustain you while you are working towards the vision and goals and stuff like that. So who knows? That could be the reason why, because you're able to invest in your book because you got the funds or whatever. You know what I mean? So all of that stuff kind of works together again, like the way that I believe the Bible tells us that all things work together for the good. So I
Mm-hmm.
believe that your business degree, everything you just shared, like it ultimately got you to the place where you are today, where you're able
Right,
to invest
right.
in your book, able to, do your true calling, right? And everything like that. So I mean, I know you started with these children's books, but I mean, it sounds like with all this writing you doing, you got way more in you. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm just saying that here, but I mean, at least from what I'm hearing, that's what I'm receiving. I don't call myself no prophet liar or nothing, but I'm just, just share what I'm receiving.
I'll consider it. I'll see, but yes, it's I think right now it's just mainly books.
hmm
So, but I might go back to my songs and see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you when you said the multiple books because how many books have you published thus far?
Thus far, so my second book it launched today on Amazon. So
Today,
today, thank
oh, congratulations!
you.
I know this is gonna come out in the future, so today, technically, do I want to tell them today? It don't matter. But anyway, today is what January the
26.
26th. So
Mm-hmm.
congratulations! This will be your anniversary next year for your book,
Mm-hmm.
your second book. Awesome. Well, I would love to hear about both of your books and anything else you want to share with us about your journey and things like that.
Okay, so I'll talk about this one. So the one that's out today, it's
hmm
called the. I actually have it right here. I just got it in the mail. So
Okay.
the Shepherd
Oh,
and the Lost Sheep.
beautiful
So
book.
it's actually a story about that parallels the parable in the Bible about the lost sheep. So it
Mm,
follows a father and son. The father is a shepherd. He's teaching his young son how to be a shepherd.
mm,
And so you must you must feed your sheep, give it add to the pasture, take care of it. And so then
mm,
one night they lock up the sheep into the pen, and a storm comes through, and the one of the fences breaks, and so
mm,
a sheep escapes. And so the
mm,
next day, the father and son comes back and see the sheep is missing. And so the father said, "Well, let's go find the sheep." So the son's like, "Well, we have other sheep here. Why do we need to go look for this one lost sheep?" So the father explains, the importance of finding this lost sheep. So they go on a journey to find this lost sheep. In the end, they find this lost sheep and bring it back home. So it teaches children the responsibility, like just from like a secular standpoint, responsibility, compassion, empathy. But from a
mm,
biblical standpoint, it parallels how, our Messiah, our Savior, Jesus, he is the shepherd. He brings the
mhm,
lost back home. He brings us, he's going to leave those who, are okay right now. And then he'll go for the lost, is to bring the sinners back, bring the lost back. So it
mhm,
teaches, young and old, not just for children. This teaches, adults too.
mhm.
So I'm excited. I can't wait to hear other, people, reviews on it. But I'm excited. The first
Okay.
book I published, it published last year,
Okay.
and that follows a king who has two sons. And basically, he tells the two sons, you could do, you could have anything in the kingdom that you want. You could go anywhere you want,
Mm,
but there's one rule: don't leave the kingdom walls. And
mhm,
so, one day the king leaves, and the boys, the two sons, they hear some kind of commotion outside the kingdom. So then they open the gate to see what's going on. They see the little festival going on. And so there's two boys from the outside that comes to the gate. Say, hey, let's. They draw the two princes out the kingdom, and so
mm,
they trick the boys. And basically, long story short, is that it teaches. So the the two outside boys tells the princess, well, you can't go there with those garments on. You need to change your garments and wear these clothes. So they do that.
Mm,
So the princess wears regular clothing and they go towards the festival.
mm,
Meanwhile, the two outside boys puts on the priestly garments and enters the kingdom. So it
mm,
teaches, the importance of listening to your parents because, you know, you may not understand why they're telling you this, but there's a reason. So in
mhm,
the end, when their princess comes back to the kingdom, they're rejected. Well, you're not the princess. The princes are already inside. So they're,
mm,
you're, being an imposter. They're like, well,
mm,
no, we're the princes. Like, no, you're not. They just walked inside. And so here we go. There's a consequence when you don't listen to your parents.
mm.
That's the first book that I wrote, and it came out summer of last year.
Awesome. Listen, congratulations on both of those books again. Look, I know I'm always saying this on this show, and I know anybody that watches all the time, you're like, oh, here she go again. But I just can't, I can't make this stuff up. I cannot. Okay. So I'm just telling y'all the honest truth. That book right there, I might need to go ahead and get for my son because we just had a conversation. Me and my husband just had a conversation with him. He's 5. About listening, being obedient, all that type of stuff, and things like that. Because I think I told you earlier, like or I probably didn't explain why, but I was telling you that sometimes I got to keep deleting like videos or whatever to make sure I got room to record new ones,
Mhm.
and that's because I do this daily inspiration segment called the Juice or whatever, and so and every now and then I let him come in with me and he'll say hi and stuff like that. It's just a morning show, and it's kind of laid back in that regard. But this morning he just did the most. Like he did too much while I was recording. And I'm like, even when I was like beckoning for him to go, stuff like that, trying to stay professional because I'm still,
Right.
recording, even though we laid back, but we ain't that laid back, you know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Uh-huh.
you gonna get on out here, trying to still, keep the smile, keep whatever I'm doing, trying to just speak word of God because I'm pretty much just sharing whatever the Lord put on my heart, to
Mhm.
study that morning. So it's important stuff that I'm talking about in the Jews, I feel like. So anyway, he just was doing the most. And I'm like, and so afterwards, of course I had to be a mom and, discipline and do all the good stuff because you need to understand that what you just did was not, correct and things of that nature. And so it's just amazing that how I'm talking to you because I got the notification that we were getting ready to chat and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Let me
Mhm.
get ready, all this stuff. And here we are, and you done wrote this book that I needed to read this morning. And I can't make this up. Like that, it's just amazing how God just set some stuff up. But anyway, so I mean, but what was the inspiration? So because I don't that wasn't a parable per se. So I know the second one was more so inspired by a parable. So the was there inspiration behind the first book and
Well, my brand is Awakening Imaginations. That's my brand.
mm, okay.
So with today's children, they're so consumed with phones, laptops, social media. And so it's like there's no creativity anymore. There's no
Mm,
imagination anymore.
mm-hmm,
So my hope is to awaken the imagination of children,
mm-hmm,
cause children to want to read again, cause them
mm-hmm,
to imagine, be creative again, dream
mm-hmm,
again.
mm,
So I want to teach children. So all of my books will have some kind of life lesson or a skill. And
mm.
those are my goals. So I want to make it
Okay.
fun, but I want to teach them something. So,
I'm
so
sorry. It's just more. It's like more confirmations of stuff, and that's why I'm laughing because I'm like, Lord, you just so funny. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you. Go ahead.
but yeah, so I want to, because a lot of these, I mean, there's like no, well, there's millions of children's books out there that teach children different things, but with my goal in mind to awaken the imagination, I want to, you know, do my best. 'Cause I mean, I know I can't take away TV, I can't take away laptop, I can't take away cell phone, I can do that.
Mhm,
But my hope is to create content that is both educational to, our children, but also fun enough to where they're engaged in it. They want to read it. They don't want to, they rather read the book instead of watching TV, instead of picking up their phones.
mm,
So
mhm,
these different, so what I'm doing is I'm thinking of different lessons that I want to teach. and
Mm-hmm.
then building a story around it.
Nice.
And so that's how I kind of work these stories for these books. So I have another book coming out in a couple of months.
Okay.
That's about stealing, basically. It's a
Mm.
detective series. It's gonna be a 3-book series,
Nice.
and it's a detective who solves crimes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wanted to just teach lessons, educate our children again.
I love it. I love it. So let me share with you why I was laughing because okay, so alongside of being a mom, right, I'm also the elementary coordinator at the church that I go to, and one of the things that the next gen pastor, the gentleman is over both, all the ministry students, kids, nursery, all of us. Um, I feel like he's been challenged. Well, not say challenging me per se, but I feel like um when he says it, I'm trying to find balance with like this whole fun as well as learning thing. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
Because don't get me wrong, I've been in edutainment. I used to work at Disney. Like I got all this experience in making something fun, but for
mhm,
something about like the spiritual side, right,
right.
of that conversation, it's like, of course I still want to do things that make things fun, but at the same time, like for example, the elementary kids, I know they kind of look at them as rowdy, right, or they look at their probably look at our room like y'all guy, yeah, y'all all over the place or whatever. But then at the same time they'll be like, we want y'all to have fun, have fun, have fun. And I'm like, but what I need the kids to understand is this is still church and this is learning too, and things like that. And so sometimes when I'm in there observing certain things, it's like, how do y'all act in school? Because if y'all act this way with us at church, and it's like y'all don't understand
Mhm,
rules, you know what I'm saying? Then what is happening at the schools? Because
mhm,
I just don't. And again, maybe it's because when I was raised, I was born in the '80s. You know what I'm saying? All this different type of stuff, and I just feel like it just was totally different. Like there was when adult told you sit down and things like that, you just do what they told you
mhm.
to do. Like
Yep.
I don't recall. I mean, every now and then there might have been a little bit of back talk when I was growing up to like some student that might have felt like they wanted to, buck against the teacher, but that was rare. Like that wasn't like I feel like what I'm observing today is like it's just I mean like that movie say no respect at all. Like, and it's just the weirdest thing. And then because I'm petite and things like that, I'm usually the fun, doing characters and with my background in theater. I think oh girl, when you said that thing earlier about Catch 22, I was like, it's the same way in entertainment. You try to build your resume as an actor, you
Mhm,
go and audition for a play, and they like, ain't nothing on your resume. I'm trying to get something on my resume. And so
yes,
I had a
yes.
whole time like that back in the day too. But anyway, see, I told you we resonate a lot of things that you said. But yeah, man, I understand it. I've been able to balance it and stuff like that. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. I just found it interesting that you also were saying that you want to, to teach the lessons, have fun too,
Mhm,
but at the same time, teaching the lessons. And I think that that's where we need to kind of find, at least in the ministry that I'm currently in. I'm like, because it's just very interesting. Because then it's like, oh yeah, have fun, do all the things. We want to give the kids all these type of stuff that they shouldn't have in the room, and all this different type of stuff. But then on the flip side, it's like, oh, y'all's room is crazy.
mhm,
Well, let someone manage it. You know what I mean? Let someone
mhm,
manage the fun. You know what I mean?
mhm,
That's what I'm observing. But I don't know. I mean, I'm just a year in, so into the roles, and we're actually shifting. And there's been a lot of shifts lately too. So that's why I'm like, and it seems like they want more leadership from me in that
uh-huh,
capacity. But I'm like, well, if y'all gonna have me lead, it's gonna listen because the kids come telling me there was one kid he gonna tell me, and I'm sorry, this is all about you. I'm gonna get right back to you. And I'll tell you this story. There's this kid that we're in it's a Sunday morning now, and him and his cousin or whoever, it's like they doing karate moves. We're on the inside. We not, we ain't in no gym. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. It's like, why are you doing karate moves? Right now you're supposed to either be, playing with some toys that we got out here, or it's like a little free time, but not
mhm,
debt free. You know what I'm saying? So I had a conversation with them, like, okay. So let's not be doing karate moves, let's
Right.
not be doing stuff like that because it's not safe, trying to explain. This kid gonna look at me. I thought we were supposed to have fun. Like,
Wow.
ooh. If it was my son, it would have been a different thing because then I'd been able to really tell him. You know what I mean? But
Right,
if this
right.
wasn't my son, I'm like, yes, but not that type of fun that you could fall over. This
Mhm.
stuff you're doing it's not fun. This is indoors. You know what I'm saying? This ain't karate. Like I think I did tell him that this is not the gym. This is not the karate place. You know what I'm saying? This
Mhm.
is church. Oh, but
Wow.
anyway,
Well, children are built different this go around. It's
ooh, yes. I'm like, I can't be no teacher. Like and I know I guess I am one to a certain extent in the room, but I'm anyway, girl, I'll be on here just confessing all my because I'm like, I noticed that about me back when I was doing after school programs. I was like, yeah, being a quote unquote teacher person, because these kids, it's like, because you tell, my whole thing is, like you just said, they're built different, and even though they're young, they're still very mature, I would say, for their ages, right? Because they're giving the mature vibes. You're talking, right? Like you're old enough to tell me that you didn't think that was fun. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
you're old enough to understand what I'm telling you about safety. You know what I mean? And even if you don't fully understand, like you were talking about in your book, even if you don't fully understand why, still just be obedient. But I feel like God be doing that to us too. Like, so even though you don't understand, I was just talking about
Wow.
because everything just keep confirming. Like, but yeah, and we're like that too. We just like those kids as adults
Mhm.
with God. So I'm not sitting here trying to point fingers. I'm sure probably the same way God's like, so yeah, now. But yeah, man. I mean, yeah, it's just something about the kids though, man. And be like, I got grace and mercy for y'all, but at the same time, you understand what I'm saying. You old enough.
Mm.
Like I got a little bit more grace and mercy for like the 2 and 3s because they don't know. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But them elementary, come on now. Nah. And then some of y'all try, taller than me and stuff. So of course I got to be,
Uh,
because they gonna just run over me or whatever. But
mm.
anyway, girl, you done got me with this book, man. I'm just talking about this stuff. We just talking about this. All right, so you say you got series coming and things of that nature. A new book coming this year. I, I mean, it sounds like so that's what I was saying earlier. I feel like there's definitely more books coming from you. So you already talked about the 3-part series. So why would you say the detective story? Yeah, because I got similarities there too, but we'll talk about that later. um, but so the detective story. So is it like one story that's kind of carrying on through the three, or
It's
is it
gonna be
like
3 different. So the first one is gonna
oh
be
okay.
about a bakery and the cookies goes missing.
Oh
And so
okay.
the detective is gonna, like a whodunit. So he's gonna go
Mm-hmm.
question the
Mm-hmm.
different residents to see, who took the cookies.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one's gonna be a circus. And the circus act, they disappear. And so it's gonna
Ooh,
be someone who sabotage the circus. So like
okay.
different, like scenarios just to make it
Mm-hmm.
fun, but teach them
Yeah.
kind of lesson in the story.
Very nice. Well, that sounds exciting. Like I said, I can
I'm excited about
resonate
that
with that too.
one.
Because
Mhm.
I host mystery shows. She's like, girl, you do. I know I do a lot of stuff, but I mean, yeah. So I'm like, when you said that, I'm like, yeah, those are fun. Whodunits are definitely fun. The games and the fun and the shows and things like that. So
Mhm.
I know the books can be as well. What was those books back in the day? Was it Barnaby Boys or something like that? Like, or I feel like there was some kid detective books back in the day, but so do you have like a particular character that's doing all these things, or
It's gonna be, one character, and that's
okay?
Detective Harper.
Oh,
So I already have him, drew up and everything. Now it's just getting the storyline together.
Awesome. Well, listen, that sounds exciting. Exciting books
Mhm.
coming. I know that book that you just showed us was very beautiful as well. So it seems like there are going to be some exciting, beautiful books coming and things
Mhm.
like that. So cool. So, do you have an illustrator, or do you also do that as well? Or
Yeah, I have an illustrator. I
oh,
can't
okay.
draw, so.
Yeah, I was just shaking because you never know. People be multi-talented.
Mhm,
So,
yeah.
you're like, and I did the artwork. I'm like, I have definitely so much respect for artists and stuff too. It's like that. I try to. I'm an artist at heart, I believe, and then I'll pick up some paint and do. I feel like I'm better at like splatters or what I'm saying, or stuff like
Mhm.
that. But those that really can like draw, like you said, those illustrations you had, or like really draw the person or things like that. Oh, that's amazing,
Mhm.
beautiful, beautiful skill to have. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I would say what's coming up, but you already kind of showed us that. I mean,
Mhm.
so let's go back to like your life, right? And I know you were saying that you kind of was, I guess the entrepreneurial spirit is ultimately the reasons why you wanted to go ahead and go forth with being, writing your books and things. Um, was there any other things that kind of transitioned you in that way, or or I guess what I'm saying, like, did you feel kind of like God was pushing you towards that way, or something like that? Like, what was that transition like? I'm sure
To
are you
be an
still working your
entrepreneur?
other job, and just wondering, just curious about those things.
Yeah, so growing up, again, my parents, they instilled me, education, get a degree.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, I did not have such a passion to be an entrepreneur. It was more, well, I did, but I didn't. So
Mm-hmm.
I did. I want to be a manager, basically. And
Okay.
so in my mind, okay, well, I gotta work, at the bottom level, work my way
Mm-hmm.
up.
Mm-hmm.
That was my
Yeah.
mindset. So that was still like a entrepreneur mindset,
Mm-hmm.
but like it wasn't until like recently, well, not maybe like a few years ago, I'm like, well, I want to do something for myself. I don't want to, work my way up. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to find something I could do to be my own boss instead of going up the ladder. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like that transition where I always had that mindset, but the way to get there changed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I get that. I totally get that. Because even when you said you went for business, I was like, okay, she already kind of, that was like a seed for you, the whole
Mhm.
entrepreneurial thing anyway, I guess going for business. But then um it's just something about, and for me, I think the reasons why I at some point I guess I just started to see, okay, am I going to continue to wait for someone else to give me an opportunity, or am
Right.
I going to make my own? And it's funny because again, it took me a little, few minutes, because I was more so focused on building my resume as an actor and all this different type of stuff, and people would keep like kind of speaking into me about writing my own things, and I'm like, okay, but
Mhm.
and stuff like that, and but then I guess at some point, the more I thought about it, and I guess the more I was seeing, because sometimes again, just life just kind of push you in that way. I believe God pushes you in that way, and so I noticed that when I was getting the opportunities, because we talked about that catch-22 thing, you trying to
Mhm.
go, they don't want to give you the opportunity, right? So when I was starting to book, shows and things like that, I noticed that it was a lot of writer producers,
Mhm.
and it was a lot of people that was writing, producing, directing. They were doing the whole thing. And those were the type of shows that I was getting into, and I'm like, this is the third writer and producer that I don't work with. This is, so I'm
Yeah.
starting to see, I guess, what God wanted me to see in regards to those things. And so ultimately, I would say then I guess I started to kind of focus on like, well, if I was to, then what would I do,
Mhm.
and stuff like that. Um, and honestly, I have no clue where I would be today if I didn't go ahead and go forth. I mean, there's so many different things that are tied to the obedience, right?
Right.
And not just listening to what other people were saying, but listening to what God was saying through them, and what He was showing me through where He was placing me, and all those different things, to where, if you really start to pay attention, I know people struggle with hearing from God, right? Or they struggle with like thinking like they're alone, and like he's not there and he's not listening and all these different things, but it's like, no, he is there. He's speaking to you like through
Mhm.
everything if you really pay attention. Because you know like I said, I would have bypassed all of that if I didn't like pay attention to the fact that, again, writer, producer, writer, producer, writer, producer, writer, producer. And then I'm like, wait, that's like the third, fourth, fifth person that I'm what are you saying? Like, you know what I mean? But I guess
Right.
you gotta get more spiritually in tune, get into the word, get in, seeking him and his will and way. And I guess that'll hopefully help us understand a little better those things. But I don't know, do you feel like you were kind of, I mean, I don't know, can you relate to what I'm saying about hearing from God and moving forward and things like that? Or was it
Um,
a struggle at all to make your transitions that you've made?
I think, y- um, yeah, no.
Mhm.
Um, because obviously this is God given. I just didn't realize it until recently. I thought it
Mm.
was just a hobby, of mine. And I didn't
Oh.
realize, oh, this is a gift that he gave me, to use. And
Mm.
that's why it's like, hey, well, if he gave me this gift, I want to, make sure I share it to children and making sure that I'm teaching, not just providing like a fun book, but
Mhm.
teach children something.
Mhm.
So they think that's, kind of where I'm like, okay, well, if he gave me this, I don't want to, do it in vain. And
Yeah.
so, but yeah, it takes a lot of discipline. It does take, hearing from him, because sometimes my ideas, like I have an idea, but then I'm just at a roadblock. I don't know, where to go with it. I don't know, how to continue with the story. So he gives me ideas sometimes, like, oh, do this, add this. So just
Mhm.
listening to him. I mean, we have distractions. We have our laptops. So I mean, I,
Mhm.
I admit I do get distracted sometimes. I'm asking, well, tell me, what should I write? And
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, well, social media, email. But like, okay, well, I'm asking for help, but I'm not, listening. So just
Mm.
take discipline in all of this to, especially if it's a gift he'd given you, we need to make sure we listen to how he wants us to use this gift that he gave us. So,
That's so true.
mhm.
Yeah, that's so true. Yep, talking about that this morning. I called it what was the phrase he gave me this morning? Is that what right now? Oh, oodles and noodles.
Mm.
Because what happened was like this morning before I got up to do the juice, I so I wake up really early, right? And so I took this moment to kind of clear my mind and probably either go back to sleep just to make sure my mind was clear to see whatever the Lord wanted me to talk about or whatever. And I was noticing I was getting all these little visions, right? And it was just like little pieces of stuff, and it just really felt jumbled. And then by the time I got back up, I the phrase oodles and noodles, oodles of noodles came into my heart and mind. And I was like, and it for me, when it first came in my mind, I'm like, that totally, explains how I felt like all those different little pieces of visions were. You know what I mean? I felt like they were just
Mhm.
jumbled, just like a bowl of noodles or whatever. Um, Now when I went deeper and started studying and stuff like that, I mean that got to a whole nother level. But that first initial getting those little pieces of visions and stuff, and I'm like, none of this made. Then at some point, I'm like, Lord, what are you saying to me? Like
Mhm.
what do all these things mean? Um, and I think we sometimes I guess get stuck there, man, and like you said again, and then we allow the distractions and stuff like that, and then next thing you know, you haven't moved forward at all and stuff. So I am excited for you, man. I'm glad that you did move forward. I'm glad to hear that you have the books published, more on the way. And I mean, it sounds like an exciting time. So how are you feeling now that you have stepped into entrepreneurship and writing the other thing that you're passionate about and things like that? Like
I'm
how are you feeling
excited.
now?
I'm very excited. So now it's the marketing stage, and that part sucks because I'm like, I'm an introvert. I'm
Mm,
quiet,
mm,
so put myself out there feels weird, but I have
mm.
to get sales. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about the production of it, but
Mhm.
marketing is like I gotta, go to stores, go to libraries, go to schools.
Mm.
So, but I'm excited about the process. I've already
Good.
got some marketing stuff, going. So
Awesome.
just going forward. So
Awesome. Well, I mean, I hope that things get better with that. Like, you next thing we know, you come back again, you be like, girl, listen, I done been on my book tour, like,
Mhm. I
you
hope,
know,
I
who
pray
knows?
that happens.
Yeah, but but even if not, if you bring on a team, whatever, however the Lord decides to bless you in that
Right.
area, and stuff like that, so you can continue to do, what you're great at and your work and stuff like that. I pray that it happens for you, and I'm looking forward to hearing more in the future. Like I said, you're definitely welcome to come on back anytime. But I mean, yeah, is there anything else you would like to share with us before you go?
I think that's it. But yeah, so my goal is to awaken the imagination of children. So, as it takes us to be the example. So we need to put our phones down more, spend more time with our children and family, eat at the eat at the dinner table together again.
Mm,
Play games together. So let's get back to how we grew up.
mm,
Less of the technology we have today and more of family bonding.
mm. I love that. I love that. So, where can people find more information about you and your books and everything like that?
They could go to either authorashleyirvin.com. That's my website. I do have both books on there. They could also go on Amazon for my books. They could find me on Facebook at author Ashley Irvin. And any, questions or any concerns, they can reach out to me at authorashleyirvin@gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for visiting us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Thank you so much for watching the GSL Talk Show. And thank you to Miss Ashley for joining us tonight. I hope that you guys enjoyed this conversation. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And check out Miss Ashley's books, y'all. Have a good night.